Welcome back, family. This is your boy ED. For you smart and intelligent folks out there, that just simply means Ed. We're back again. Instead of doing our normal 8-point framework, again, like I said, for the month of April, we really want to dig deep in the theories of project management, meaning we're going to pull a lot of stuff from the book versus the case instead of the pragmatic approach that I've been doing over the past year. So, what I'd like to do for you today's episode is around the project charter. The project charter, first of all, is one of the main project artifacts. Like, there are a lot of project artifacts out there, but the project charter is one of those artifacts you definitely want to ensure that you have an understanding of. So, what we're going to do is I put together like a fake or a mock per se project charter, and then but I want to walk you through the components. Now, the components or the attributes through the project charter, they could vary from organization to organization, and I'm going to point that out as we go along. I should have brought my PMBOK in here too, but no worries, we'll get into it. So let's talk about what is a project charter. Okay, so a project charter, it documents and tracks the necessary information required by the decision maker. Most of the time, what you'll see, family, is this: the project charter is done in the initiating phase, because the output of one of the in the initiating phase, you have two processes. You have one which is develop the project charter, and then you have the other one which is in the stakeholder management knowledge area, which is called identify stakeholders. So this happens during the initiating phase. And think of this more or less, family, like a contract, because that's what it does. It acts as a contract through the project lifecycle. Now, I do want to bury some I guess made up thoughts or beliefs, and again, every organization, I've seen them do it so many times different, and which is sometimes irritating, because it's like, when you've learned the way how PMBOK teaches you, I'm grabbing another book, the way PMBOK teaches you versus how sometimes you will, other organizations actually creates a project charter. You're like, dang, which one is right? But there is no right or wrong there. So I'll just say that the version I'm going to show you is mostly a more of a what is a typical project charter, as well as the importance of it. So okay. So here we go. So you have how I unpacked this was, I just unpacked it if I was actually building the charter, and for someone that I can explain to, that is very simple. What do I mean by that? Well, first of all, you have your title. You have your prepared by, the date, version, of course, the project overview. Let me park there real quick. The project overview is something that is a high level. The whole document, the whole artifact, excuse me, is a high level document. So you're not going to have a detailed scope. That's why you have initiating, planning. So when you're in the planning section, this is when you're supposed to go deeper. And then, remember, I was saying I've seen it in other organizations where it's different. Where I was at an organization where they had a detailed project scope, and the next one's project objective. They had a very detailed project objective and a very detailed project timeline. And I was confused, family. I was confused because um, I don't want to use the excuse, say, oh, I've never done it that way, but I didn't. But I was like, the whole point of a project charter is more of a high level overview. And then when you get to those planning area, that's when you really unpack. That's when you really get the team together, because normally who puts the project charter together is a combination of either the project sponsor and a project manager, or it may just be the project manager asking questions. Another version I've seen it where it may be the project manager, project sponsor, as well as a one key stakeholder that may have been identified that has an understanding of the project. So again, we're going through. So stakeholders, project timeline, budget, project risk and mitigation, then roles and responsibility, and then of course the execution of the charter, which is the project charter approval. So here's some further explanation per se. So there's certain aspects that you really want to understand from I guess I'll say from a project charter standpoint. You want to be able to go deeper on some of these. Now, some of them are self-explanatory. Like, we know that going back, we know that the project title, that's self-explanatory. Prepared by meaning who's the person that's putting this together. The date, version is basically what version are we on? Are we on version one? Because you want to ensure that you keep a good version control methodology in place, because if you don't, you don't know what has been changed or what has been updated or removed. So you want to ensure you do that. And then, but let's get into project overview. So a project overview again is a high level summary of the project. This can normally include the background, the rationale, the actual purpose of it. And again, key word, if I could just get something just to ring, high level. Ladies and gentlemen, high level on that. Now, another aspect of it is project scope explanation. Basically, the project scope really defines the boundaries of the project in detail, but not so super detailed in which that you can't leverage planning. As I mentioned to you earlier, that I've seen in other organizations where that's all they do is they'll really go do a deep dive on the scope aspect. And I'm like, no. We do that in the planning area. So project objective explanation. Basically, the project objectives is really more or less around the specific, let's say SMART, meaning specific, measurable, actionable, relevant, and time-based goals. Stakeholder explanation. So basically, this is where stakeholders are, whether individual groups, organization, have some interest in the project and the project outcome. Then you have roles and responsibility. This basically clearly defines from a high level what are the roles and responsibilities for each of the stakeholders that thus far that we have identified. And then project risk and mitigation. What are some high level risks that we are already aware of that we need to put some mitigating responses in? So that really kind of answers that piece. So let's go on to the mock project charter that I've created for you, family, so you can really truly get an idea of what this looks like. So again, my project is entitled the Green Horizon Initiative. You guys don't seem excited. Again, the Green Horizon. I don't know, that just seems just right. Horizon Initiative. It is prepared by me, Edward Cole Jr. As of today, and again, family, we do these the day of, so everything is. I should have went live with this, but hey, we're here now. But this is again now the version you see right here, family. This is version number 1. Okay. So the project overview. So the project overview for this particular project will be an initiative to contribute to the objectives of introducing sustainable urban development practices that expect to reduce the CO2 emissions by 40% within the project area. Here's the scope. The project is initiated in response to an increase in urban pollution levels, the community demand for green spaces, and the city's strategic goal of becoming carbon neutral by 2035. Here's the objective. Increase urban green space by 25%, implement 2 renewable energy solutions in the downtown area, introduce eco-friendly public transportation options, and achieve a 40% reduction in CO2 emissions in this project area. So the first aspect that I put together, family, as you can see, and again, when you have I broke it up like this because it's just easier to digest when it comes to understanding and recalling what the charter is. So stepping back again, this is just the introduction, meaning your title, meaning who's prepared by, the date and version. Here we get a little bit more deeper when we talk about the overview, the scope, and what are the actual objections. Now we start looking at our stakeholders. Who are our stakeholders involved in here? These are the stakeholders that thus far we've identified, but you understand again, in the planning section, you wonder why I keep saying in the planning section, because what I don't want you to do, family, is that if you start building out a project charter and then you think, oh, well, and here's another thing, well, I'm just going to go back once we get out the planning section and update it. No. You don't do that. Once the charter is done and signed, that's it. Now we go into planning phases, and we start making updates and diving deeper into the details. So far the stakeholders that we identified, and we haven't started the planning phase again, are the project sponsor, the project manager, the city council, environment, NGO, and the community residents associates. So as our sponsor, we have Alex Morale. Me, I am playing the project manager, as I say. The city council, we have Janice Reed and Ryan Hughes. And for the environmental, we have John Weather. So here's their responsibility. And again, family, you don't want a detailed, long diary of what they're going to do and a long journal. Nope, we get straight to it. Act as a liaison between the project team and business, ensuring that their interests and concerns are represented. We have also for the project manager, I'm just responsible for the planning, executing, and the team management of the actual project. You see how brief that is? I didn't talk about, well, yeah, so I'm going to be scheduling the meetings. No. We're not going through all of that. We'll get to that part in the planning. City Council with Janice Reed and Ryan Hughes. So they're going to provide the necessary approval for project initiation and oversees its alignment with the municipal policies and regulations. And then John Weather, we have him coming in to provide expert advice on environmental sustainability and conservation, practices. And then we have Sarah here, the insurance voices are concerned from a residential standpoint. All right, so here we are in our timeline and budget. So timeline, so we want the project to start in January of 2025, design phase completion by July 2025, construction to actual start in January 2026, and then project completion done on December 2027. The budget that we have allowed it for this particular project is $1 million. The project risk, we identified 2, and then we have 2 mitigation responses. So first one is potential delays due to unforeseen environmental and regulatory issues. So what we're going to do to potentially to address that is going to have early engagement and continuous monitoring. Then we have risk of inefficient funding or cost overruns. Our response there is going to be a detailed budget planning and review and a financial risk analysis. The reason why we're doing that is because we want to ensure that we are properly funded through the entire life cycle of the project. The actual sign off of the project, as you see, you can have a list of people. What I recommend though, family, is having if at bare minimum your project sponsor, the project manager, and maybe one stakeholder that you identified that is very crucial to this project. But again, you can have a list of people, but these are the 3 that I recommend for that particular item. So family, I truly hope today you really enjoyed the episode around what is a project charter in project management. Again, like I said, I'm going to be doing a lot of these introduction type videos to project management so we can get a better grasp on the artifacts. We can get a better grasp on the terminology, because that's what happens a lot of times, family, when you make the decision to go after this thing that I love, that of course I hope you fall in love with, called project management. You have to understand that what the team, when you go through those interviews and you're actually working the job, you want to understand this terminology. You want to understand how to put together a project charter. I showed you more of less of what should go into it. If we need to, maybe we do a video around, an episode around building out a project charter from scratch, so you can see what the thinking is behind it. That may be valuable, but really, I really wanted you to use this episode as a opportunity for you to grow from how to create a project charter. Because again, the project charter is one of the most important documents within this realm of project management. Well, I hope you enjoyed today's episode. I've been your boy ED. Until next time, you know my slogan. I'm out.